All right, welcome in live in Queens, God's country, if you will. Live at Aqueduct Racetrack. This is the horse racing happy hour. Louie Reveau, Barry Spears, John Piassek. If you wanted to understand horse racing, it's us three schmucks at this table at Aqueduct on a cold Saturday, trying to figure out the 100th Wood Memorial. Because, gentlemen, welcome in. Thank you for making the trip. Not so far for John, New York guy here, but Barry made the trip up from Florida. Really appreciate it. I've never been to Aqueduct before, so this was such a cool opportunity for me to get up here. I booked this trip, and then I realized it was the 100th Wood. I didn't even know it was 100th, but it worked out. Well, welcome in, man. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Haven't been here since the early 90s, but
That's crazy.
Everything is kind of like I thought it was going to be, but it's a lovely rustic kind of track, and just being here is just great. I know all the memories I have, plus all the others, and Wood Memorial Day and all that kind of stuff. It's really great to be here.
And John, I know, you're working at Yonkers now. I know you grew up on the New York tracks. Ballpark. How many times do you think you've been to this place?
At least 50. And my dad has been coming here for a million years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was here when Seattle Slew won his last race in the Stuyvesant Handicap in 1978. So I've been coming here for a long time. In fact, one of my New Year's Day traditions growing up was they used to give away a calendar on New Year's Day. Yeah. So I'd come here every New Year's, get my calendar, and watch a few races.
Was it a New York calendar or just an Aqueduct calendar?
It was New York racing.
Okay.
So
okay.
It was,
oh, that's awesome.
The Aqueduct, Belmont, Saratoga, stuff like that.
Spectacular.
And I have to say, so I've been here a lot. I know you haven't been here in a long time. You and Zach have never been here.
First timers, yeah.
And we got here about 9:30 this morning, and Matthew DeSantis gave us the nickel tour. And these guys were like in awe of how awesome Aqueduct was.
It is awesome.
Yeah, and because Matt was wearing purple, it gave off a lot of vibes of Willy Wonka giving off a tour of the chocolate factory.
Who's the Veruca Salt of this group? Why is it Barry? That's right. Yeah, why is it Barry? That's right. What are we doing here? It's got to be Barry. That's right.
I have no shame in being Veruca.
But hey, let's do the quick thing here. Derby trail to this point, right? And I think a lot of eyeballs are going to be on Keeneland on Tuesday, obviously, and out in LA for the Santa Anita Derby. Let's start in Los Angeles. A couple of horses, frankly, three of them, short field for sure. But we've seen Citizen Bull. I gave the stat last night on our SoCal Saturday show. Of the three last runners to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and then win their first race as a 3-year-old, two of them won the Derby, and the other one was Essential Quality. So it is a really, really good thing to do if you can do it. I made the joke last night that we watched a little Baffert shimmy after Citizen Bull came back in that Lewis. He knows what he has, or at least he thinks he knows what he has. You were high on Barnes going especially into the San Felipe. Journalism did the darn thing. A good set of horses out at Santa Anita today, but also you're just going to be able to, that's not a difficult race to figure out. Citizen Bull's going to try to get their lead. Journalism's going to try to catch them. Pretty simple.
Yeah, that's really the case. It's a really tough race because all those three horses are probably at the top of this crop, and they have sort of the same running style. They have the same sort of tactics. So it's going to be the cat and mouse game is going to be a little interesting to see, especially in this race, because journalism technically doesn't need to win,
right?
But could just be a way better horse than the other two and flat out win this race and go on to bigger and better things. But that remains to be seen. Citizen Bull has a lot of speed. You usually don't see a lot of Baffert horses that need a race, but that horse definitely did, and we'll see what happens.
I'll say the only horse who can really win that race in the sense of boost their Derby stock is Barnes.
Yes, right.
Because there's so much doubt about his ability to go a mile and an eighth or further that if he wins this race, it would quell a lot of those doubts,
sure,
and make him one of Derby favorites. Citizen Bull and Journalism are already two of the Derby favorites. So if they win, their stock really can't be helped. But if either of them runs a clunker, it's going to hurt them, I think, quite a bit in the eyes of most racing fans.
If the Kentucky Derby were today, and I only gave you Journalism or Citizen Bull in a normal Derby field, who would you bet today?
Citizen Bull.
Okay. Who would you bet today of those two, Journalism or Citizen Bull, today?
Today, I'd bet Journalism.
Okay.
He's just more polished at this point from what I've seen. So we haven't seen Citizen Bull today.
Right.
and it could be another story.
So with Citizen Bowl, is it the running style especially, or is it that historicity of, hey, if you win this race in the fall and you get to the spring, you're going to be in that kind of company? Which one is it?
It's both, especially because so many big Derby horses this year do the best running from
Late.
off the pace.
Yep, you're totally right.
We saw it in Arkansas, we saw it in Florida, we've been seeing it in a lot of places. So there's a scenario in which Citizen Bowl pulls off an authentic and just goes to the front and just keeps going.
Yep, I agree. Or a Justify, or we've seen the other Bafferts do this in the past for sure. Again, Horse Racing Happy Hour, we're live with you here at the Big A here at Aqueduct on the NYRA circuit, ready for the 100th running of the Wood Memorial. Need to get into that handicapping, but first that move to Tuesday at Keeneland. I got to ask you last night about it, Barry. Not a huge level of concern for you as far as a couple of days closer to the Derby, that sort of thing. But we are, I mean, Tuesday to Saturday is only 4 days, and usually I have to hear the Lexington is disqualifying. It's too close to the Derby. Any way that the Bluegrass could be disqualifying that way?
It might be. I mean, some of those horses only have 3-4 starts, and they definitely need more foundation, more racing experience, the whole nine to win a race like the Derby. Obviously, they can get lucky, but chances are they won't. And these horses with a lot of foundation, a lot of races, have to have some sort of an edge when it comes to the Derby.
Any worry about the move to Tuesday, the 3-day extra amount of time there?
Not really. I mean, as you said, it's really only 3 days. It's not that much time. And like, if you're that good enough to win the Derby, 3 days is not going to throw you off that much.
Yeah, and the ship from Keeneland to Churchill is a lot less than having to worry about it be an extra whatever kind of set. But
Absolutely.
Also, man, for years, I would see Derby horses on the Wednesday before Derby. It has only been very, very recently that people have shipped their horses in super early to start working at Churchill and all those kinds of things. So I'm largely on the same page with you. Is there a horse running in Lexington that you're especially watching for?
Well, I'm cheering for Reserve Judgment because Sheldon Russell, who's based in Maryland, is riding him. Would be amazing to see him in Derby starting gate. I mean, I was high on Burnham Square after he won in Florida. I'm willing give him another chance. Really Thames also very live. Owen Almighty, I'm fading. I think he got 2 very advantageous trips at Tampa Bay. I don't like him at all. Chance of McPatrick, if he even runs well,
I know,
not even wins, just runs well, he might be a good bet on Derby Day.
He might be. Anybody stand out in that field for you?
Yeah, I'm with John on Chance McPatrick. I think Owen Almighty got the 2 really, really good trips back to back. One, he lost to John Hancock, who didn't come back all that well at Colonial, and then he beat Chance McPatrick, who definitely needed that race. I'm interested to see if he's going to be closer to the pace like he was last time. If he does, I think everything works in his favor today. So I like Chance McPatrick quite a bit.
There you go. All right. Well, those are not here on Long Island. So we're going to talk about the races that are here at Aqueduct today. We're going to start with race 7, 6 stakes on the card, or 5 stakes on the card, excuse me, including that Wood Memorial. And of course, the Gazelle Stakes today, a win and in for the Kentucky Oaks that Friday before the first Saturday in May, of course. But let's start with the ladies. We'll start with the distaff here. Race 7 is the start of one of the, how many pick 5s are there today? Are there 4 of them? 5 pick 5s today. Wager, look, people, I know Keeneland's close, but be smart about your wagers, please.
Please gamble.
Yeah, responsibly would be the ideal here. 7 furlongs on the dirt, of course. The distaff means for fillies and mares 4 and up in this case. 175 in the kitty for this grade 3. We have a 1-to-1. We have an even money favorite in here in Irish Maxima. Barry, I'm going to try to beat this horse today, but I absolutely understand the favoritism.
Yeah, no, she definitely deserves to be favored in the spot. I like to bet favorites on the rail with speed, just like Irish Maxima. Even money, this horse is going to get pressed. There's a couple of horses in there. Sea Dancer right next to him. Ocean Getaway has a lot of speed, so it's not going to be that easy. And a horse like Socially Selective should benefit from a lot of that and get a nice trip here. So that's where I'm kind of landing.
An important one for a lot of the connections here, John, because I don't see a graded stakes winner in here to this point. So getting the graded stakes here a big deal. Do you agree? Is Irish Maxima the best in this field? A Sea Dancer, a lot of late kick this 7 furlong distance sometimes makes for an opportunity for closers. I like St. Benedict's Prep in here as well. Seems to be a horse that's taken to New York really well, but she loves to run second as well. Where'd you land in this one?
St. Benedict's Prep especially is noteworthy, and this is where me knowing Maryland Circuit comes into play. She got an extremely advantageous setup 4 starts back in the Water Summer Stakes. The horse who won that race set just incredibly fast tractions, won in gate to wire fashion, and St. Benedict's Prep still couldn't catch her. That makes me a little bit leery of her. I think it's going to be either Irish Maxima or Socially Elective. Irish Maxima, as we said, has a lot of early speed. Her only race she didn't win since coming back to the races off a long layoff was in the Show of White back in Mahoning Valley in November, and she ran her eyeballs out that day, fought very hard, only lost by a length. Then, and it's interesting, she broke through the gate before the race in the Barbara Fishy. Now, generally, horses who do that don't always run their best race, but she still crushed the field.
She did.
Won an easy gate to wire fashion. Frankie Pennington, who's one of John Service's go-to riders at Parks, he keeps them out. And she has, I think, much better early pace figures than anybody else in this field. So as long as the early pace isn't too fast, like sub 22, I think she'll be able to open up on the turn after taking some pressure and win. I think if she does fade after getting pressed, Socially Elective is my play. She has great late speed. She'll be a little bit further off the pace than some of her other rivals. So if, say, St. Benedict's Prep, Ocean Gateway, and Irish Maxima all battle on the lead, they'll all be tired on the far turn entering the stretch. It'll set up well for Socially Selective.
All right, Barry. In that one, too, an opportunity. We start to get to 7 horses, that kind of thing. Is there a scratch in here in this race at all?
Number 6.
Number 6 is out of here. So
Royal Spa is out.
Feels like more of a let's figure out where this fits in a pick 3 or something kind of wager to me, rather than playing an exacta. What kind of player is Barry Spears today, you think?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be a lot of exacta heavy.
Okay.
Today. Because
nice fields for that later.
The fields are big.
Yep.
And it looks like there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of horses that are flying under the radar to kind of come in. Usually like these kind of days where it's cold, windy out, you get some weird things that happen. And that's kind of what I bank on, some chaos. So, we were talking about that yesterday.
Yep. Yeah. John, what kind of bet are you today? I watched you cash many pick 4s and 5s in front of me. I assume you'll be sticking with that strategy today.
Yes. And I like this race starts a pick 5 because it'll give us a good gauge of how much Irish Maxima is going to get bet. Because if she goes off at near her morning line of even money, she is the kind of horse who you'd either want to single in the pick 5 or not use at all. Because if you single her, it'll save a lot of money on the ticket. Right. If you throw in even one other horse, it'll double the cost.
Literally doubles the cost.
So you have to be pretty certain that she's going to win to justify using her.
Yeah.
And if you want to spread out, go 3 or 4 deep and use her, then she wins and you kind of feel like a puts. So I think it's either single or fade. I'm leaning toward a single with her.
Right.
But I'll have to see how the board's playing.
Sure.
If she ends up going off at 2-1 or 5-2, and there's a little more value, then I think you can justify using her and a few other horses.
John Piassek over there. His name's Barry Spears, hanging out with me, Louie Rebeau, with the Horse Racing Happy Hour live at Aqueduct, ahead of the 100th running of the Wood Memorial. Really appreciate all of you hanging out with us today. An allowance is up next. 7 furlongs on the dirt for 4 and up. 76,000 in the kitty here. A couple scratches in this one, yes?
Only one.
One. Number 8 is out of this race here at Aqueduct. We'll start with you here, Barry. You're going to put the microphone right next to your face, and it's going to be awesome. But we've got a bunch of nice horses in here. Where did you land in the Old State Bred allowance here?
I'm going to throw one downfield, and I'm going to speak into the mic properly. I'm going to take the 7 Final Denial. I think they kind of got this horse wrong, and we're running this horse in just terribly bad races where this horse did not fit. This race kind of fits the scenario, and I think you're going to see a way better performance. And at 20-1 morning line, which this horse, you should get every bit of this.
Yep.
I think stands a way better than average chance to win this race at a big price, has the running style. I think this horse loves this distance rather than going longer. That's where we're landing.
First time Final Denial once since the move to the De Paz barn, running in state company here.
Yes. Now, as far as I see it, there's two horses in here. Well, first of all, this is a great betting race
It really
because
is.
number 6, Crimson Light, is 5-2 on the morning line. He had that big flashy maiden win 16 months ago.
Yes.
He hasn't raced since then. Anytime there's a horse who hasn't raced in 16 months who is going to be the favorite, that is A++ betting opportunity because it means everybody else is going off at a much better price. It's going to create a lot of value with other horses. I kind of like the 1 Brewing, who's 20-1 on the morning line, and number 4 Leo's Reward, 10-1 on morning line. Brewing is one of a few in here, in fact possibly the only one besides Crimson Light who has not lost against winners. He broke his maiden in very impressive fashion at Sam Houston, came from off the pace, won by 10 lengths under Story Elliott, earned a big speed figure that day, and 82 on the Brisnet scale. Ships up here for the first time, had a good local workout the other day, making his first start for the Juan Bernardini Bone. He'll sit off the pace on the inside. If he runs back in that maiden race, he's in with a big chance. And because he's been competing out like, Sam Houston, Remington Park, I think people are going to dismiss him a little bit, but they shouldn't. I also like number 4, Leo's Reward, who broke his maiden in similarly sharp style 2 starts back. Ran a career best figure last time out, even though it wasn't a visually impressive race. He got caught wide going a mile at Aqueduct. I'm not sure if that's quite his speed. He cuts back to 7 furlongs here. He broke his maiden going 7 furlongs. I think he'll like this a lot better.
Yeah. Another one in here, Barry, that I wanted to ask you about is the Chad Brown trained St. Gaudens, because we mentioned that's the scratch, right? Okay. I was going to say that's a bad scratch for us. Because that's another potential play against. That's exactly right. And in a race like this, the 6 and the 8 could have been 2 play against. So we only get one of those in this case. But hey, you know what? We'll take one. We'll take a punch.
I like seeing horses that have been favored 5 out of 6 times and lose 5 out of 6 times.
Yeah. Any love for Nunzio on the outside, the 10 horse here, coming out of the
kind of
the Glen Julio barn
in the middle. It doesn't seem like he can step up and win this race. He obviously can, but doesn't look all that flavorful on paper.
As we have a field of 10 here, this feels like an exacta race for me. That's a horse I'll be throwing under.
Yeah,
for sure. Yep, I think for sure. All right, the Gazelle kicks off our win and in races for the day. This one for the Kentucky Oaks. And unlike the Wood, we'll get there in a minute, and it's not in any way an attempt to put the Wood down. We just haven't had a Kentucky Derby winner out of the Wood in a long time, and that's okay to say. But we have out of the Gazelle. This has been a predictor of very good success for 3-year-old fillies. Very recently, Malathat, of course, coming out of the New York circuit on her way to a Kentucky Oaks win. It's a mile and a 16th mile and an eighth, starting at the same line, finishing at the same line here at Aqueduct. Grade 3, 200,000 in the kitty for 3-year-old fillies. In this one, Ballerina de Oro comes in as the even money favorite. I am very hesitant to want to make her the favorite here, but then I look around at the rest of the options here, and I don't know that she shouldn't be the favorite. I just don't think even money is the right number here.
Yeah, I think even money is a bit short. Although that horse is the best horse in the race. Don't get that mixed up. But the running style is really the problem. This horse likes to close from way back, and that really opens you up to losses that you probably shouldn't have. And I ended up on the 7 horse, Pure Beauty. Shug has a lot of good horses in his barn. He's bringing Sammy Marin up for this, which really tells me what he thinks of this horse. I think he likes their combination. This horse is ready to step up into this kind of competition and should get the jump on the 2. And I think that might make all the difference in this race.
So the 7 Pure Beauty there for the sniper. Where'd you land there, Johnny P?
So there's 2 scratches in here, and everybody talked about the big scratches being number 8, Liam in the Dust. But I think the 1 Late Night Call is
front runner,
even bigger scratch, and that is going to make life much, much easier for number 3, Vanilla Sunday, who did not show much in her first 2 starts. Last time out, got a pretty easy pace, ended up crushing the field by 15 lengths. On the Brisnet scale, that was a career best race by 23 points. Now, it might be unlikely that she'll run back to that race, but with Late Night Call out of the race, I mean, who else is going with her?
Right.
Really no one, I think.
Right.
So, and if she runs back to that race, she probably wins this. And you have to figure, knowing Mike Rapoli, he's an Aqueduct guy. He really wants to win a big race on Wood Day. I'm sure him and Todd have had this horse geared up, pointing towards this race for a while. I mean, as long as she breaks and gets to the rail and the lead, I think she'll be hard to catch. And if she's anywhere near who's 6-1 morning line, if you get even 7-2 or 4-1, I think she'd be a great bet.
I like De La Reine in here quite a bit, actually, for Owen Hardy and Mike Smith. By the way, that I'm here on a day when Mike Smith's back in New York is pretty cool. That's good timing for me, right? That's a cool timing for that. This one, look, this is a candy ride and a discreet cat on the damn side. This is a Godolphin bred here. They tried her in that Florida Oaks on the turf last time. We'll go ahead and draw a line through that. Before that, in the Suncoast, wasn't quite ready. I wonder if she won't just like the track here. If there's a chance that Turfway to Aqueduct thing won't work out, but that 8-1 number to me kind of stands out as an option.
Yeah, on a horse that has some stakes experience,
right?
That some of these can't say. Now, to John's point, Vanilla Sunday is going to be probably on the front end, but
yes,
my thought is, are they really going to let that horse go?
De La Reine's going to be able to stalk, and that's actually where I think,
yeah, that was the one I thought might want to run with her and kind of put some pressure on the front runner, but you never know. I mean, it really isn't set in stone. Even one of the other horses could jump up and try to press that pace to make things quicker, but you never know. They might let that horse go thinking that they're way better, and then Vanilla Sunday just walks on.
Yeah.
And to your point about the Suncoast, that day there was a big speed bias in two-turn races at Tampa Bay Downs. Horses who made the front end could not be caught. That was the same race where John Hancock and Owen Almighty ran 1-2 in the Sam Davis. And De La Reine got caught in behind a loose leader in La Cara, who nobody had any shot to catch the way that track was playing. So really, based on that track bias, that third place finish is about as big an effort as you could have expected out of her that day. And I kind of wonder if Owen Hardy is going to keep that race in mind and tell Mike Smith, hey, don't let Vanilla Sunday get too loose. Because this filly was 4 lengths out of it at the opening quarter in the Suncoast. That was too far away. So I wonder if Owen is going to say to Mike, hey, keep her maybe 2 lengths or so off of Vanilla Sunday. Don't let her get too loose, because right. And I do think that the possibility the Suncoast repeats itself. But even if it does, and Vanilla Sunday goes gate to wire, De La Reine could round out the exacta. And if Ballerina goes out of the exacta, it's going to be a pretty juicy payoff.
Yeah, it could pay just fine for sure. The late pick 4 does start in race 10. It's the Grade 2 Carter, one of the more historic races here at Aqueduct as well. 7 furlonger. This is the male version of the distaff. 7 furlongs on the dirt, Grade 2, 300,000 in the kitty for this one, 4 and up on the male side. No Lasix in this one. Crazy Mason will have the inside post. Quits Brew will be 2-1 here. Coming out of Laurel Park. Why not, Barry? A little Laurel Park love. Had to put his hat on. Did you notice the Maryland hat had to go back on as soon as Quince Brew was in this thing? But we get the Maryland Invader. Who are you beating the Maryland Invader with?
See, you know
I'm
me
setting
so
you up
well.
for a terrible spot here. That's
I know
what I'm doing.
you definitely do, but you know how I roll.
Yes, I do.
There was 2 horses that caught my eye. The first is the 1 Crazy Mason, and the next was Donegal Momentum, the 5. Crazy Mason is kind of like the hot horse. Ran 2 really good races back to back. Deserves a shot here. And honestly, gets probably a pace scenario that fits this horse. Whether he's good enough to finish this race off is another story. We'll see.
Sure.
But at 5-1, I think that's a little short. I think we might get a little bit higher price on this horse.
Wow.
But definitely has the style and the speed to win. Donegal Momentum is another one that ran really good off the layoff at the fairgrounds on the 6th of March. And usually horses that come back off a layoff, this I love, because they have that pattern. It's called a breakthrough pattern that Dave Litfin used to highlight in his books and everything. They come back off the layoff at a similar level of which they left, and then they break through to another new top. So Donegal Moon fits that description, and I think this horse is going to run well today.
Donegal Momentum talk. How about that?
I mean, with Donegal Momentum, he's run so well on the grass. There's really no grass stakes in New York. I don't think at this meet.
Tarps are down, baby.
Belmont at the Big A. So I kind of wonder if Tom is using this race as a prep for a grass spot down the road. And is kind of hoping he runs at least okay here. And then kind of use that race. as a building block.
I was surprised to see him have him down in Fairgrounds and not at Turfway. Actually, I thought this horse maybe just that in between kind of surface, but heck, he won the race. So what do I know about anything? Yeah.
So my heart says Quince Brew. He is my favorite horse in training, and so going into handicapping this race, I was like, don't use your heart, use your head. Look at things as objectively as you can. And even looking at it objectively, I came back to Quince Brew.
Okay.
I mean, he has run huge races in both of his starts this year. He ran off the screen in the Jennings back in mid-January. First start of a 7-month layoff, won by 6, earned a huge figure. In fact, on the bio scale, he ran a bigger figure that day than Hit Show did in winning the Louisiana Stakes. Then he came back, ran huge in the General George under a hand ride by 5.5 lengths. He'll get a great trip either on the pace or cruising just off it. I think Donegal, Momentum, and Maximus Meridius go at it early on. Quince Brew sits just off of them towards the inside and kicks away with it. Now, and I know folks are sometimes skeptical of Maryland Shippers up here, but Maryland Shippers have won this race each of the past 2 years. Doppelganger won it in 2023, and last year, Post Time followed an almost identical pattern to Quince Brew. He won the Jennings, then General George, and then the Carter. Quince Brew is trying to do the same thing. I think he will do it, and it would not surprise me at all if Quince Brew had as big a year this year as Post Time did last year. I think he's that good, and definite hot take here. I think he's the best Maryland bred in training. Better than mine, friend.
Let's go. I love it. I'm going to ride a Pennsylvania bred in this one. I think Maximus Meridius is really interesting in this spot. And I think the 7 can absolutely get it done out of the Reed barn. Has run at this track and won twice, including in the toboggan at the distance at the beginning of February. I think that time and those fractions make sense for a win today. If he breaks well under Joel Rosario, I expect Maximus Meridius to get it done here.
Yeah, he might be the one that flies under the radar.
Right. And by the way, I don't know how I would ever get 4-1, but if I do, it's going to be.
I think you're going to get it.
Okay, that's going to be an expensive bet for me. I'm just going to tell you right now, that horse at that price, man, I'll take it all day.
Of note, Sheriff Bianco is scratched, the 8.
Okay. All right, on the outside there. But the Excelsior starts the late pick 3. Again, Barry Spears, John Piassek, I'm Louie Rabeau, hanging out with you live at Aqueduct ahead of the 100th Wood Memorial. This is the Horse Racing Happy Hour at Horse Happy Hour on Twitter. Hey, wherever you're hanging out with us today, we really do appreciate it. You can find me at Radio Louie. He's at Urban Handicapper, and he is at They're Off. Come find us on Twitter. Come hang out. I'll be part of the D-Gens and spend your days with us. Mile and a quarter in the Excelsior. I can't, you don't get to be in person for a lot of classic distance races all the time. And so I'm excited just to even be here for a classic distance race at the Big A. 4 and up here. No Lasix race because it is a listed race in New York. And so 150,000 in the kitty here for older horses. And man, I like these kinds of races, guys, especially when we get this time of year of a horse like Film Star, who, I get it, only 6 lifetime wins, but
scratchy.
He scratched out that one too.
Gone.
Try to have fun here. Tell me who else scratched out so I don't make a complete.
Nobody.
Okay, thank God. All right. But even a classic catch who was going to break right next to him, 17 lifetime starts. These are just, the horses. We go, all these 3-year-olds running off to the breeding barn. Don't look down then on an Excelsior race. Don't do that. These horses are still running. They're still giving us these great betting options and frankly giving us these great races. We got a 2-1 favorite in here in Batten Down. Let's go to John first in this one. Joel Rosario gets the mount here. 2-1 seems real short on this guy for some reason.
Well, I'll say following the news kind of messed up my handicapping because all week long, the word was that Rick Dutrow was going to scratch number 8, Mazmac, because he thought it was going to be a wet track. Well, as of now, as you can see, thanks to our great background here, it's not wet. The track's fast. It's kind of a coin toss as to if we're going to get any rain at all day long. So if he stays in the race, I think he's very alive. But so is Batten Down. And I think last time out in the mine shaft, Tyler Gaff-Leone was more like Tyler Gaff-Leone because I don't know why he didn't put this horse on the lead. The pace was very, very slow. He sat him off the pace, and he had no late kick. He finished 4th. He won the Bourbon Flight 3 starts back, going 1 mile and 3/16 in gate to wire fashion. He won the Ohio Derby last June at 1 mile and 1/8 in gate to wire fashion. He broke his maiden as a 3-year-old at 1 mile and a quarter in April in gate to wire style.
Wow.
So we know he has a lot of speed and he can hold it a long way. If I'm Bill Mott, I'm telling Joel, don't do what Tyler did. Just go to the front. He has a lot of speed. We know he can carry it. I think it's if he's at about that point there,
Okay.
and he's in front by about a length and a half, no one's catching him.
Top of the first turn. Okay, there you go. Batten Down is, of course, a son of Tappet. We have seen that horse sire just a couple that have won up here at the bigger New York tracks, Barry. How are you trying to beat Batten Down?
Oh, of course we're trying to beat Batten Down. Honestly, I really had a tough time with this race. And I think a lot of people do, only because we don't run races at this distance very often.
Yeah.
You know, we see them every once in a while at Gulfstream, and it's pure chaos. It's almost like automatically a 20-to-1 shot wins. I'm not doing that sort of thing in this race, but
I appreciate, by the way, they're running about 2 a month during their meet at Turfway. And then Churchill started running maidens at a mile and a quarter too, which I really appreciate. Yeah.
Obviously, we got horses that can do it.
Yeah, no, that's right. Oh, yeah. It seemed to enjoy it, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
I thought Croupy is a single for me here.
Okay. Wow.
You know, just class-wise kind of stands out.
Okay.
And horses that stand out class-wise in this manner can usually get it done despite their running style. I think he's better. You know, Batten Down is probably equally as good, but we just haven't seen that horse in a while. Last time I don't really know what happened. Like John was saying, I'm not really sure why that horse didn't get to the front, but it doesn't really bode well for me in this situation, because it might open up the door for a little bit of a speed duel or a quicker pace than Batten Down wants. And that for me opens it up for Croupy. And if I get 4-1 on Croupy, we're pushing all the chips.
Okay, there you go. Big statement on Croupy, who, by the way, has missed the board, only once in 8 career runs at Aqueduct, 2 wins, 3 places, and 2 shows as well, John. Strong feeling on anyone else? I mean, I do like Mazmac a lot in this spot, actually, on the outside.
Well, my only problem with Croupy is that he's just so pace dependent.
Yes.
Like, he will need a pace to close into. He might get it. I mean, Phileas Fogg does have some speed to Batten Down's outside. Okay. If for some reason Batten Down can't outrun Phileas Fogg and those two get involved in a duel, it would set up well for both Mazmac and for Croupy. But right now, I'm betting on Batten Down taking them all the way.
All right, ready for your trifecta include of the day? It's Curbstone.
Oh, yeah.
That horse likes it here. No, I'm serious. 5 wins at Aqueduct, has 1 at the distance, 2nd place at the distance. Curbstone, just the connections, going to get no money except for people that hang out
more than 12-1.
You're going to get way more than 12-1. That's an absolute include in this field for any kind of exacta trifecta play within that race itself. I think he's going to be right there. All right, let's move on to the Wood itself. We usually play a game on this show about all of the winners. I played a game the other day with Steve Kornacki called Hardwood and Plywood, and that guy works for NBC, and he played a game called Hardwood, and I can't believe it, but I love this show so much. We're out here at Aqueduct. Louie Rabeau, he's Barry Spears and John Piassek hanging out ahead of the 100th Wood Memorial. Let's go through the field here. Let's meet them real quick. This is a 1 1/8 miles. It is $750,000. It is a spot or 2 in the Kentucky Derby. Can I give my hot take about the Wood Memorial's future?
Absolutely.
Okay. Obviously, this will be run at Belmont in a couple of years. I think there's an opportunity. That the Wood Memorial supplants the Santa Anita Derby as the second best predictor of success in the Derby, and here's why. I think with the money infusion here at New York, this is already more. There's $250,000 more dollars in this race's purse than there is in California. Okay. The shipping here for most people is considerably easier than getting out west. And frankly, when you go out west, you usually run into a buzzsaw. Okay. Now the buzzsaw might retire in the next couple of years. I'm not sure, but I think there's a chance that actually, and probably frankly, after they move to Belmont, I don't know what the layout's going to be, by the way. I'm still trying to figure that out, how they're going to run this race there. Are they going to go to a 1-turn 1 1/8 miles as their prep? They are. Okay. There you go. That sets up as a really difficult to predict thing as well, but I think it can make, there's my hot take, the Wood Memorial will be more important than the Santa Anita Derby in 5 years.
Yeah, I co-sign that, because it seems like the most logical thing to happen based on, like you said, the landscape changing And here we are with a dilapidated kind of Santa Anita Derby and a full field here where any of those horses could have came out and got
Yes.
a piece of this purse,
Right.
which you would say, like, why didn't you do that? Especially since the Derby's run on the East Coast. But,
Yep.
you know, they have their own methods. I mean, Bob Baffert wouldn't because he kind of holds court out there. And it seems like journalism.
The purse money means a
offered.
little less to his connections than it does to others. Correct.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the buzzsaw, by the way. John, what do you think of my theory here? I think there's a chance that this re-elevates itself.
Absolutely, and I'll say this also: it's not like the Wood has been attracting bad horses. I mean, Frosted won this race recently. You know, Rosa won this race recently.
Resilience was a great horse. He was a good horse last year. He ran well in the Derby. Yes,
right, him too.
Yeah.
So it's still attracting very good horses.
Yep.
It's almost just like a luck of the draw as to if a race.
Do you know what? It actually lines up
produces
in the exact same year as the last time the Big Ten won the national title in basketball in 2000. Okay, but it's not like the Big Ten sucks at basketball. Right? They just haven't had a national champion.
Right. I'll say
Right?
also,
I mean, they're still making Final Fours. They're still doing the stuff like many of the Wood runners are running top 5 in the Derby. That's what I'm getting at, right? You're still getting that kind of quality. It just isn't the top end quality.
Right. And I'll say it's also like Empire Maker won the Wood. He was good enough to win a Triple Crown. He just got hurt right before the Derby.
That's right.
And,
That's
and
right.
he runs best
That's
race. I Want Revenge
Yep.
may well have won a Derby if he didn't get hurt, as I noted. You know, Frosted and Vino Rosso won this race. Tappet won this race and ended up becoming a great sire. So, you know, as long as this race keeps drawing good horses, and as you said, the ingredients are there for it to keep doing so.
Yes.
One of these days, somebody from this race will win the Derby, and then from there, they'll just keep begetting more great horses and more Derby winners.
Tacitus, Vito Rosso, Irish War Cry, 3 in a row there, 17 through 19. Outwork before that, Frosted, Wicked Strong. I mean this as nicely as I can. At the time, we didn't think of those as bum horses. We didn't, right?
Not,
and so,
no.
because they're not bum horses, by
Right.
the way, right? And so Verrazano's on that list, whatever, Gemologist, Escandarea. I mean, the list of Wood winners. Yeah.
Right. If he gets
Yeah,
there.
Escandarea probably gets there. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think a lot of it is what have you done for me lately?
No question.
And
And we do that in sports. We do
right.
that in sports. And
in
we should, by the
sports
way.
and especially in horse racing.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you get those horses that are off the radar, by not looking at the last race, but races behind it. And I think the same thing applies to these Derby preps. People get used to seeing horses from certain barns do certain things, and when they don't do that, they're like, oh, well, then maybe that race isn't as good as we thought. But that's not necessarily the case.
The Wood Memorial is a grade 2. There's $750,000 at stake for the runners here, a mile and an eighth on the dirt course here at Aqueduct. Start at the finish line and finish at the finish line. As well, Rodriguez ships in from the West Coast. Bob Baffert obviously has to spread out his runners in these 100-point races. It has not gone to plan quite yet for him outside of Southern California with Cornucopian, with Matticat Road, etc. Can it go to plan here for him with Rodriguez?
Well, if the trend continues, it probably isn't a good sign. I really don't see how this horse wins this race unless he just runs them off their feet, and I don't think he's good enough to do it. He has that potential, as they all, but I think he's just part of the pace for other horses such as Captain Cook or Statesman or McAfee. Those are the horses that I landed on. But man, this is a really good race, to be honest.
John, you made the case earlier that getting the lead for in the Carter for Quince Brew, or not for Quince Brew, what am I saying? Excuse me, in the Excelsior for Batten Down. Okay. That he could just run away with it. Is that at least a scenario that you could see with Rodriguez?
Yes, but not enough that I'd want to bet him or include him on a ticket, because he was near the pace in his last 2 starts at Bob Lewis and San Felipe.
Yep.
He backed up both times. Unless Sand Devil just completely misses the break, he'll get pace pressure again here from his outside, so he's not going to be able to control his own terms on the lead. I mean, I think he's a couple below Baffert's best. I think Baffert is just trying to squeeze another horse into the Derby. I'm willing to let him beat me.
Taking the blinkers off in this one. I will say in a positive, Mike Smith is the right jock for this horse because he's not afraid to be on the front in a speed scenario where he's got a rate. And that is something Mike Smith does very well. So if you wanted to go positive for sure, outside of Baffert's ridiculous record in these kinds of races, you would
honestly
go to that.
I thought in my heart that Sand Devil's faster in general and will be in front of that horse. But we'll see. I mean, it's definitely possible. There's a step on the gas. We've seen it before, and have races just blow up that way. So this could go a lot of ways.
Rodriguez is Sire Authentic, of course, a top 3 finisher in the Kentucky Derby, right behind Justify. Captain Cook is in the 2-hole here. Local connections, Dutrow and Franco hitting at an absurd 29% of late. This looks like the kind of horse coming out of the withers that should be the favorite. He's 7-2 instead of 5-2, and I get it. I'm not picking on David Aragona. I think he'll be the favorite by the time we get to post.
I agree. This horse is ascending buyers. Should be right there, should get a great trip. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat him, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
Obviously, you know, the chances of him throwing in a clunker are probably very low, but this horse could still run well and get beat. These are 3-year-olds. They improve and not improve at the same time,
right,
at any time. But he definitely looks great.
Captain Cook comes in, of course, a son of Practical Joke. Isn't he Charlie on the damn side? I like seeing that these days. Yeah, how about that? Wins the Withers, I thought, as impressively as any of the earlier preps, frankly, of the runs that we've seen. We watched Lil Remsen be a really important predictor last year for success, John. Any chance that Captain Cook could follow in that line?
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, both Rodriguez and Sand Devil are going out to early pace. Captain Cook has great tactical speed. I think he sits just off of them in 3rd or 4th down to the inside. And once those two back up, he'll get first jump on all the closers. He'll kick away. I think he wins in very similar fashion to the way he won the Withers. And, you know, he would be a nice story. I mean, he was bred by the late, great Mary Lou Whitney. Would be awesome to see a Whitney-bred horse win one of New York's most historic races.
Captain Cook already has 20 points, so even likely a 3rd place finish here today will get him on the bubble, but certainly a 2nd place finish will get Captain Cook to Louisville under the Twin Spires for the Kentucky Derby in the 151st running of that. We're talking about the 100th running of the Wood Memorial here. Tiger 24 comes in the 3rd spot here off a very impressive maiden win for Bill Mott. Javier Castellano gets the mount. I mean this, John, we'll go to you first here. When is the last time you've seen Mott and Castellano at 30-1 at Aqueduct?
See, that's my thing. Like, in a vacuum, I think there's other horses who have a better chance. But if he's 30-1 and you have a big pick 4 or pick 5 budget, how do you not use him? I mean,
I'm with you.
Right. I mean, he's coming into this race in ascending form. He's improved in each race. He broke his maiden very impressively last time out. Yes, he did drift in the stretch, but still, he won going away, ran a big figure. He's worked well since then. Really, the only downside is that he hasn't won around 2 turns yet, whereas a lot of his rivals have. But again, if he's 30-1, like, the rest of the pick 5 could chalk out, and if he wins, it's paying stacks.
Yeah, it still pays stacks. That's exactly right. Barry, I look, I don't know how much of a chance I give him here. Just never run here before. Comes up dealing with weather from being at Gulfstream all the time. I don't know how much of a chance. But Javier Castellano in New York in a big race, man. I'm sorry, I've seen way crazier things than this.
Absolutely,
especially in the recent Wood Memorial.
Yeah,
yes,
Bill Mott is one of the best in the business, best ever, and him putting this horse in this race speaks a lot about what he thinks about this horse's talent. He wouldn't be here if this horse wasn't capable. That in and of itself should tell you a lot, and that price is ridiculous. If he's 30-1, you got to use him somewhere. You know this horse is going to show up.
Bred in Kentucky by Peachtree Stable. This is a homebred for $10,000, a chance at a check north of $400,000. Today, my Matoli, of course, sired by one of my favorite horses, ran very well in this state. Matoli will be in the 4-hole here. The Rivera Martin combination here. I kind of lean toward. I love Matoli. I want to be very clear, and that horse won me a lot of money. But was a great horse for me. But his progeny getting a mile and an eighth or getting a mile and a quarter, I will believe it when I see it. It's a toss for me based on that.
Yeah, I'm with you too. This horse is solid, but at 1 mile, not a mile and an eighth. Yes. So yeah,
one turn.
I'm gonna pass.
Give me that
hopefully,
mile.
I mean,
furlongs.
Hopefully the betting does shake out like this, and you do get that 30-1 on Tiger 24 and get 20 on my Matoli.
Yeah, no, that'd be okay too.
That.
Yeah, right. Throwing the blinkers on here, John. Do you give him a chance? The distance is what I worry about.
I give him a chance on opposite day.
Okay.
I mean, he won impressively against lesser fields. He got us class test last time, and he was up the track. I think he's a field filler.
There you go. Sand Devil comes in the 5-hole here. Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano. You talk about the New York connections to die for here, 23% at Aqueduct in a sample size north of 400 races. Unbelievable, the two of these coming together. Did run second behind Flood Zone, who will run in the UAE Derby today. In the Gotham, gets to stretch out a little bit more distance here. A Son of Violence, this is where I really worry about a distance question as well, Barry. I would like my races at a mile or less with the progeny of a Sand Devil. He's a toss for me for that reason. Where did you land?
I wouldn't toss this horse because, the talent is there. You've seen it. I can forgive that last race. I know Flood Zone kind of went to the front and kind of ran off after that point. But Sand Devil did stumble, didn't get the best of starts, and was kind of up against it, fought the whole time and kept running, which is encouraging. I mean, we've seen a horse in Justify who really wasn't bred to go a mile and a quarter, win a race
Fair
like
enough.
that. Sand Devil kind of reminds me of him in that way. I think this horse could get the distance under certain conditions. But I do expect this horse to run well today. So I'm not going to completely toss
Okay.
this horse.
All right. I like it.
I mean, as I said earlier about speed and him and Rodriguez possibly going at it, if I'm Jose Lezcano, I'm just putting my foot to the gas and just going, because I think the only way he wins is if he steals it on the front end. I mean, he has not run a bad race in his career.
Yeah.
He's running
you're
huge in
totally
all
correct.
4 starts,
Yep.
but he has never gone 2 turns before. He hasn't won around 2 turns. I think there's 5 horses in here who haven't done that. He's one of them, and he'll be, I think, the lowest price of those 5. So as you guys said, there's a lot of questions about him. 8-1 on morning line, a decent price if you get it. I don't think you will. I think he might go off at half that. I think people are gonna flock to him, and I do kind of wish, for his sake, that the Bay Shore was still on this day. It's being run in 2 weeks. Because I think he'd be much better off in there. And in fact, he has a not dissimilar profile as another Linda Rice trained New York bred, El Grandeo, who did well going 1 turn, then tried a bit deeper waters. Wasn't that great? I think he's this year's model of El Grandeo.
The Peter Pan in a couple weeks. Is it over 1 turn or is that a mile and 8? It's 1 turn.
Actually, I don't know. It's at Belmont.
Here to be 2 turns.
Yeah, mile and 8. That's right.
Here's
It'd
a
be
mile and
2
an 8.
turns,
Okay, I was
yeah.
gonna say the 1 turn Peter Pan for a horse like Sand Devil, I'd feel a lot better about. Maybe that's just me. Hill Road is the 6th horse here. Will be 9-2 on the line. Chad Brown and Joel Rosario, and by 9-2, I mean he's scratched
He's
out.
out.
Hey John, this is not a professional show. You don't have to like do this stuff. We're not on radio. I'd like to just say he scratched out, bro.
Number 9 is out also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew that one actually from a couple days ago. How about that? Grande will make the trip though for Todd Pletcher. He's been training at Palm Beach Downs. Curlin. How about that? Little Curlin and Dylan Davis here, of course. John Velasquez had the first 2 mounts here. This horse comes out of an optional claiming win at Gulfstream Park. I think the 5-1's probably about where this horse will land.
Unfortunately.
You like him that much?
No, I really don't like this horse that much, but I just think 5-1 is too short to take on a horse that this is unproven. Hasn't really done anything.
Sure.
That field this horse beat last time wasn't all that great.
Oh, it's not.
Looked good doing it, but this is a far leap, and 5-1 on a horse like this seems way too low.
So, anyone who follows me on Twitter knows how I feel about Mike Rapoli. And one thing about Mike Rapoli is that he loves himself some Mike Rapoli. And he really wants to have a horse in this race and get a horse in the Derby. And I think that is why this horse is here. Like, yes, he's looked pretty good in his 2 starts. He did win around 2 turns, but it is kind of a big ask to make your stakes debut in a spot like this. If he's 5-1 on the morning line, he'll get absolutely pounded at the windows. And I know, yes, Noah Sunday has a similar profile in the Gazelle, but this is a much tougher spot.
Yep.
For Grande. The only upside is that he might get a nice trip. He sat just off the pace in his last few starts, which he both won. I'm hoping, for everybody's sake, Dylan Davis sits just off it and doesn't try to engage Sand Devil or Rodriguez. I think that's his best shot. But I think this is a little too much too soon, and it's not going to be much value.
Passion Rules comes in 12-1. We get Kendrick and we get Brad Cox. And that to me, is a very good reason to bet this horse. The 12-1, I don't think is happening at all. I think 6 is probably where we're going to land.
So
and I won't like it.
Lifted up. You know, who's going to get lifted up?
A couple people.
Yeah,
a couple, but you're going to be surprised, I think. But Passion Rules, I think, is going to catch a bunch of money. This is my top play.
Yeah, he's the buzzy horse for sure.
It's my top pick here. I just really trust Kendrick Carmouche on these kinds of days in this geographic region of the country. And so especially if we can stay near 10-1, give me this horse. I think I have no chance of that, but an absolute include for me on all tickets.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this horse from horse players all week. Getting on this train, and I think a lot of it had to do with Brad Cox winning down at Turfway in the stakes. And this horse has kind of that feel to it. A little bit under the radar. You're not really familiar with this horse too much. It's not one of his bigger name 3-year-olds, male or female, but this horse has run very well 3 times. Kind of falls in that same category as Grande.
Right.
So as I alluded to earlier, this is where the head and the heart take a
large divergence. Yes, correct.
Because if this horse wins this race, as a fan, I will be doing cartwheels on the apron. He is Maryland bred by Charles and Cynthia McGinnis of Thornmar Farm, who have been breeding in Maryland for a million years. He's Maryland sired. He's by Frisian Fire, who only stands for $2,000. Stands at Country Life Farm, who have been huge breeders in Maryland for almost 100 years. Josh and Mike Pons run the farm. They're great people, great Maryland horsemen. So he'd be an amazing story. I hope he wins this race as a fan, and I hope he goes into the Derby. In fact, if he was in the Derby, he'd be the first Maryland bred in the Derby since Homeboy Chris in 2010.
Wow.
He'd be the first Maryland sired horse since Afternoon Delight in 1995. So from that perspective, it would be amazing.
He just needs to be top 2, my friend.
Yes. As a cold-hearted horse player.
Yes. Let's go, cold-hearted horse players.
I don't see it.
Okay.
I mean, he hasn't run a race fast enough to win this one. Yes, he won last time out. However, that race, I think, kind of fell into his lap. It was a very fast early pace, and the pace kind of melted down. And while that may happen here,
I was going to say, I think that's
there's
exactly
going
what's
to
going to happen
be
here.
but there's going to be a lot higher quality
Yes.
closers. Statesman is going to be closing. So is Omaha. And as I noted earlier, Captain Cook is going to have boost jump.
Got it.
Passion Rule is probably going to be coming from a little bit further off the pace than Captain Cook. As I said, I want him to win as a fan, but he's going to have a lot of things go right to get the job done.
All right. McAfee will be in the 10 again. The 9 Bear Claw Necklace is scratched out. McAfee will be in the 10 here. Comes out of a 5th place finish in the Gotham. This will be second off the layoff here, which Richard Dutrow does at 29%, 20-1 here. Eric Consell, I think a sneaky great rider up here.
Yeah, he gets the job done
Yeah.
quite a bit. And as a second and third call rider too.
Yes, correct.
So he's kind of making the best of situations that aren't the greatest all the time.
By the way, you hear that buzz? You hear a little Wood Memorial Day buzz?
Oh
You hear
yeah,
that?
I hear
Little
it.
Aqueduct
I hear
lighting
it.
up down here.
Smell the food,
It's like,
everything.
smells amazing in here, and it's like 35 minutes until the first race, and there's buzz in this place.
Oh yeah,
Oh, there's nothing going on. There's not going to be anybody there. But shut up, people. All of you are
and the
liars.
sun's coming out.
Everybody's a liar. Everybody, meteorologists are liars. People lied to me about Aqueduct. Everybody's a liar. And I don't
that.
appreciate it. Barry, lie to me more. Let's go. Come on.
McAfee, I think, has a great chance. Honestly, I really do think this horse has a great chance, especially with Captain Cook in the race. You
Okay.
know, people are going to be gravitating towards that one.
Yep.
This horse might be good. I mean, he fits that description that I always tell you about. Comes off the layoff, ascending buyers. This horse fits the description. I mean,
Yep.
totally.
Yep.
Training well, everything running in his favor. If he were to win today or finish second, it'd be third. Start off the form
Yeah, from
cycle.
Kentucky.
I mean, I like him a lot at this. I totally doubt we'll get 20-1. I would say maybe less than half that, but not too low.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about 8 to 10-1, and that's
Wow,
perfectly fine to me. And we're gonna use that one a lot in a lot of places.
A hero in Maryland, but not a Maryland hero. His dad, Cloud Computing. Where do you land on the son of Cloud Computing in McAfee?
I mean,
Do people get that joke? People do, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
he hasn't even started around 2 turns, much less won around it. He was very flat in the Gotham. I
Right.
mean, he probably should have run a lot better that day than he did. Yes, it was his first start in a little while, but even if he had finished, 4 or 5 lengths behind, I would have been okay. He was 9 lengths out of it. I would like to have seen a little bit more. I'll let him beat me.
Okay. All right. Statesman will be in the 11 hole. Marine. Sammy. In town to ride this son of Constitution. Shug, of course, trains here. I got a rise out of Kornacki. Very excited about this one, actually. And his form at Tampa, those 2 races coming off the layoff here this year. It wouldn't be the first horse that it took till his 3-year-old year to put it together.
True.
Certainly. Two tries, 2 wins this year. Do you give him, hey,
Yes.
just got to be top 2 to get to Louisville?
Absolutely. I mean, you see the buyers go up 20 points when stretching out. That goes a long way with me. Usually horses that do that end up kind of maintaining and getting a little bit better. This is the right time. This horse has been getting better every race. Why not here? I mean, I get it. You have all the big names and everything, but Shug's a big name. He knows how to train horses, and he has a lot of good young horses in his barn. This is another one. In fact, I had this horse in my stable mail, and I keep getting this alert for today, and it keeps bringing me back to this horse. There's a reason why I put this horse in my stable mail, because this horse finishes races off, and I like those 2 races at Tampa. This would be great.
There you go, John. Wow. A ranking endorsement, frankly.
I guess a big question is, how hot do you think the pace is going to be? Because if you think it's hot enough to burn up not only Sand Devil and Rodriguez, but also Captain Cook and Grande, then it falls right in a Statesman's lap. Because he'll be coming from further off the pace than those 2. He's shown that he can close well even off of slow paces. I mean, he got to win by a neck 2 starts back after half in 48 flat.
Yeah.
1 last out going away after half in 48 and 4/5 seconds. Now, granted, it was against weaker competition. This is his class test, but he has foundation. It's a 6th career start. He has great late pace figures. He should be able to save ground, even breaking out of post 9, because he'll be able to drop back off the pace. I mean, definitely, if you're playing a exacta or a trifecta, he's a good horse to use underneath. If you're spreading out in the pick 4, anything the pace is going to be very fast. He's good to use. And if he's 15-1 on the morning line, I mean, if I was David Aragona and making the morning line, I'd probably pin him at like 6-1 or 8-1, because people do bet West Point, they bet Shug, they bet horses like him. I think 15-1 is a great value.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Omaha will be the outside horse in this race, breaking from the 12 hole, a son of Audible. Do you get that joke, John Piassek? Okay. All right. Almost asked him to leave. I'm not going to lie. Like if that answer was a no, be like, look, we're trying to, this used to be a proper country. We're working on that, but we'll get there. But listen, you don't know the Peyton Manning references. I can't have you on the show. 30-1 here out of the Gorham Barn. I'll go to John first on this one, just because we have seen this horse so much in the Mid-Atlantic. This is the kind of horse I wish people would just say we need to go to the Tessio with. Do you give him a shot up here, though?
I have said before, this horse has the exact same profile as a horse who stumbles his way into the Derby by getting a lot of 3rd and 4th place finishes, runs in the Derby at like 87-1, and comes in 4th and blows up the Superfecta. He looks exactly like that. I mean, he broke his maiden at Lowell at Thanksgiving. He is Maryland based, and he's Virginia bred, so we have 2 Mid-Atlantic breds in this field. Always very cool to see. But he got a great pace set up that day. Yep. It was just extraordinarily fast in front of him, and he won by 7. Since then, he's made up decent ground off of varying paces, but it's always the same end result, a 2nd or 3rd place finish. I think the same thing happens here. He just doesn't have enough early speed to really make his closing kick as potent as it should be. I think he comes in 3rd or 4th again, gets just enough points to make it in.
If he finishes 3rd, he'll be there in Louisville.
Yeah, and messes up everybody's Superfecta. So don't say you weren't warned, people. If you're playing a super, key him in 4th, use anyone else you want in the top 3, and then my Venmo is at John Piassek, so you can Venmo me a cut of your Derby Super.
Oh man, time to hit that high 5, just in the 4th spot, nowhere else. Where'd you single? In the fourth spot of the high five.
People do that in like
I know,
the
man.
super high five.
I know.
I haven't dabbled in that bet too much,
Ugh.
but I see it happen. But Omaha really didn't run that badly behind Captain Cook in the withers, and honestly doesn't look too bad on paper to do exactly like John was saying,
Right.
kind of pass tired horses and getting the money at a big price. I would certainly throw him in a try in super today.
I wonder if they talked Mena into getting up here for this mount by saying you get the Derby if you get top 3 or 4, right?
would hope so.
You would hope, right? And so, yeah. All right, let's close it out. Race 13. The added race today was the opening race, right? From last Saturday. Yeah, okay. Or last Sunday, excuse me. We're going 7 furlongs on the dirt here, back into the state bred company here. Fillies and Mares 4 and up here, essentially for non-2 lifers. A couple of big favorites in here as far as the morning line is concerned, but Dolomite stands out even money here for Chad Brown. Second. Her 3 last races here. Favorite in the last 2. Barry, does she break through here?
No. We want that trend to continue. Keep burning that money and keep taking money. I love playing against horses like Dolomite out of big barns like this because they're always going to get bet.
Yep.
And they always have a less than ideal chance to win, just like this one. A horse that really jumped out to me was the 9, Fast and Frisky. This horse seems to have gotten better from 3 to 4. And especially the 1 mile races seems to be what this horse wants to do. Everything fits. So I think this horse will sit a good trip. It has a little bit of versatility, can be up front, can stay off of it a little bit. And Kai Barkoa doesn't have too many mounts today. He's going to stick around for this one. I like this one quite a bit.
I like that. There you go. John, 1-1 makes sense to you?
No, I mean, Dolomite is either a horse who you single in the pick 5 or you don't use her at all. And as Barry was saying, I mean, she's burned up a lot of money in her last 2 starts, and she looked pretty imposing on paper in those 2 races too. If she beats me, whatever, I think it'll bump up the pick 5 payout quite a bit. If you can beat her, I think this is a good race to spread in. My top choice is number 5, Ariana Rai, who's making her first start at this level, has not lost at this condition, which I always like. It's a good handicapping angle for me. She's gone gate to wire in 2 of her last 4 starts, has hung around after being on the pace in each of her last 4 races. She has the most early speed in this field. I think she'll be able to cross and clear to the front. Sophia Vives keeps the mount. And to your point about Kai Barkoa, she also doesn't have a lot of mounts today. So she'll be making the most out of every mount she has. This is one of them. I think she goes to the front, holds off Dolomite, and gets the job done at a nice number.
There you go. I think Ariana Rai's Ariana Grande's new whiskey. Is that what that is?
You need to pitch that, sir. Let's get her on the phone.
Make it the color of her hair, maybe.
Zach's giving us
thumbs down. Zach is anti-whiskey. That's what that is. I'll tell you what. Work on the happy hour. Ridiculous. What were you gonna say, brother?
Sophia, she's a really, really good rider. I hope she gets more opportunities down the road. She has really good hands, gets horses to settle, and they run for her. So, maybe she can get a win today and boost her stock up a little bit.
Well, yeah, getting a win on a big day, man.
Yeah,
that can
mean something.
When there's eyeballs on it, it does mean something. You're absolutely correct.
Especially today, with no Keelan and
right, all eyes on the wood.
That's right.
All eyes on the wood.
Do it again.
All eyes on the wood. Not his wood, the wood. Right?
What if my wood is the wood? What about that? Whoa, what if it is? You don't know.
All right.
I got more kids than you. You don't know.
You're right. You're right. My bad. I was not familiar with your game, sir. My bad. I apologize.
Why did I get worked up about that? That's the good stuff. Oh man. All right. Well, we'll be doing a group bet later, which is always one of the fun things. And I interviewed.
Is it a group bet or is it the Johnny P special?
Well, we're going with
we're just
John
gonna
tells us.
tail
Yeah,
with
we're gonna
you.
let
Right,
John.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
we're let John pick. But no, I interviewed trainer Chris Davis last summer, and he said something really cool, which was it's just fun to be at a track on the track's big day. And so I am so freaking happy to be here. I'm so glad we got to Aqueduct before they're not running here anymore. Now that I'm here, I'm actually really sad they're not going to be running here anymore because this place is great. But I get it. I really do. I understand the need for consolidation in New York. But so glad we got here. Guys, thanks for making the trip and being on the show. I really do appreciate that as well. I haven't even mentioned our sponsor for the show, Jay Shepherd Cigars on Bardstown Road. If you're happen to head to Louisville for the Derby this year, Bardstown Road, he's about a 12-minute drive at most to Churchill Downs, and that's including parking. You can be there real easy in a very cool part of town as well, in the original Highlands there in Louisville. And so get on over there. He put together a 6-pack for us today, which I thought was very kind of him as well, ahead of the races here at Aqueduct. For Barry and for John, producer Zach, of course, my name is Louie Rabeau. We're going to get out of here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. It is noon. There's a race in 25 minutes, which means we got to stop doing this because Fox is going to start yelling at us and stuff. So I'm Louie. He's Barry. He's John. We'll see you next time.